That's just, I mean, that is just a ridiculously false statement.
Whisper About It, episode 112, man. Y'all check it out. Got some TikTok favorites for y'all today. Stay tuned to the end. I got a message.
Ezekiel's wheels are scientifically possible. This guy made his own star in a jar using electromagnetism. He accidentally created an ophanim. So the inner wheels are made out of magnetic stainless steel. The outer wheels are made out of a metal that conducts electric. This is tied to a generator, and he creates a vacuum around it.
Contrary to what they teach in science, we talked already about the periodic table is really periodic table of energy. The universe is actually magnetic and light. It's not gravitational driven. I'm going to induce an electrical and magnetic field. This outer ball is the male or yang field, and this silver one inside is the yin or female field. I'm going to now put this over in order to help adjust. And we're going to turn on a vacuum pump so that we can mimic outer space.
Now, you've created a special generator for this? Is this what you're doing? So you've created specific frequencies, male frequencies and female frequencies?
Yep, it's both male and female at the same time. Wow. But again, it's not canceling out.
I don't know if she just sped it up or that lady just talks really fast.
Purple. If it's supposed to be the sun, why is it not yellow? Explain the difference, please.
Yeah, so that basically relates to what kind of plasma is being generated based on the element that's present there. Mm-hmm. So the sun is yellow because of the hydrogen and helium makeup, whereas this is purple-ish, and it will actually condense into kind of a orange because it's mostly oxygen and nitrogen, because I just sucked out the air we're breathing. What this is really doing is a male field is sending energy to the female.
Very
and that
interesting.
relationship is producing this energy that's now moving into her womb. And magnetism is going to pull it together. 5 or so 10 minutes, that will get tighter and tighter and tighter, and it'll be an actual visible sphere. You'll actually see a little core, and it'll even shoot out a beagle jet of pure energy.
So awesome.
A quasar. Everything's being fed, and it's a system. Mm-hmm. So there's no such thing as immaterial matter, and there's no such thing as non-energized matter, right? Matter is capacitated to receive light and energy.
You seem to have almost a field around it, like rings. Can you explain what those rings
Look
are?
at that.
So this is the male field that's on the outside, and then the female field on the inside. So the energy is acting on the actual metal field. Obviously in space, there's not this construct, right? It's all done through some method we don't understand.
So it's obvious to us what's going on here. He's into New Age, so he has no idea that he created an ophanim.
If you look inside the female ball there, the triangular piece, you'll start seeing like this...
Hear it vibrating in there?
That's sending energy out. Basically these tiny little trumpets, if you will, shooting out in the...
You can tell he's puzzled by the fact that they're shooting out trumpet shapes, but we know that Revelation 8:6 says the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. So then I'm looking at this and I'm like, why does this look like a gyroscope? So I look up gyroscopes on TikTok, and this is the first video that pops up.
This is a gyroscope, and this is a great toy to help students understand gyroscopes.
Real quick. What if, because here lately, dude, I don't know if y'all noticed, stars have been looking crazy. Some of them down low on the horizon be real red. North Star be real bright, like real bright glares coming off of it. Pay attention, y'all. Trumpet shining off of them.
Gyroscopic motion and angular momentum. Let's break it down for you. A gyroscope is made of a wheel and axle that spins freely inside a frame or a gimbal, and this gimbal helps it balance when the wheel and axle is spinning. Rotating objects have what's called angular momentum, and that momentum wants to be conserved. By changing that angle, we're going to change the angular momentum. So gyroscopes help things resist that change and keep it on that same orientation.
Did anyone else notice that she had the gyroscope on top of a dome, like the firmament? I think this is exactly how the ophanim do their thing. And if you're wondering, what do we use a gyroscope for? We put them in planes, helicopters, the International Space Station,
everything
rockets,
that comes off the ground that needs balance. Plus some things that are on the ground.
We have gyroscopes in, and gyroscopes work off of electromagnetism. They're not anti-gravity. So where do we think that they got the idea for these? It couldn't be Ezekiel, could it? I always thought the wheels were just like the sacred geometry form, but I'm starting to think that they're actually physical wheels. I've said it a million times. I'll say it a trillion more. God is amazing.
Facts.
You know, I had this New Year's resolution that I was only going to talk to people who listen to me.
Okay. Well, I have a saying that we have the choice of being a spectator or a participant. But
how did you feel about the things I just told you? Case in point.
Huh.
Like I said, let's start with the truth and start with transparency.
Right. Well, I'm trying to understand the truth of the universe.
You mean you talking about clothing?
What, sorry?
T-shirts? Shoes?
Well, sure.
I'll get you 4 T-shirts. Okay?
Definitely.
Yeezy's gonna be bigger than Apple.
Right. Except that ultimately we will all upload our minds to the computers and everyone
So
will just be
weird.
robots.
I don't know what kind
Yeah.
we're doing here.
And that's exactly what Steve would have wanted.
That's just, I mean, that is just a ridiculously false statement. Because,
No.
yes.
About why we shouldn't be putting weapons in space. What was most interesting to me was a repetitive sentence that he said to me over and over again during the approximately 4 years that I had the opportunity of working with him. The strategy that Wernher von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in '74, they were the enemy. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him,
Scary.
he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie.
People are reading documents, they think it's English, but it isn't.
What's the Four Corners rule?
Now, the Four Corners rule means that everything within those 4 corners is the limitations of the contract. Now we've got to go back to English. See, people don't understand brackets and square brackets and quote marks. These are used to deceive you. Let's just talk about the square brackets. Now, if you're reading a document and you see some square brackets and then there's some wording in there, what that means is the writing in between those square brackets is not written by the original author of that document. Therefore, it is off the paper. It's not part of the original document. And those 4 brackets is the Four Corners rule. Now, if you look at, say, a debt collector's letter, they are full of boxes. That's the square brackets. That's the Four Corners rule. This is how they get away with it. They get away with lying to you, but not lying. So in their eyes, it's not fraud. In their eyes, because you can't read and you made the assumption that meant you have to pay that amount, that's your fault. So in their eyes, they're not lying. Anything in a box, Four Corners rule, is off the paper. If a debt collector is trying to contact you, they'll put the value of that inside a box. In their eyes, they're not asking you to pay them. Because, oh no, we didn't put that on the paper, we put it in a box. But you were too stupid to know that, and you've accepted the payment and you make the payment.
Oh my gosh, just look at this.
And I need you to apologize. You said, I'm from Africa. You are surprised that we from Africa worship a white man.
Yes.
And I said, you Muslims colonize many countries and you impose Islam and a god from Arabia on those countries that you went. Allah was not known in Africa. It was known only in Arabia because it's Arabic language, right? The Jews never mention Allah in all their books. The best you can get close to is Elaha, which is not the same anyway. So the name Allah is not known by any of the previous prophets. It's a new name, and according to the Torah, we don't need to follow a God that is not known by our forefathers. Now, for you to say we Africans worship a white man, it shows you are ignorant.
You have.
No,
right?
I
So,
haven't.
so
People
no,
need to
stop.
talk about
You don't know
art.
anything about these
Allah never existed till Muhammad wrote the book. Scary. I better pay attention and get y'all's got some faith, right?
January 6 cases. You don't know why these people are in jail. You don't know that a man is in Brooklyn right now for 3 years without charge or trial. And when Donald Trump says these people have been held for too long, you say, no, Trump is wrong. Keep them locked up. That's fucking fascist. Dude, You've been sitting here with no knowledge of the specifics of some of these cases. There is a man in Brooklyn right now. I'm going to say it again. No charges whatsoever brought. He's been in jail for 3 fucking years. For you to sit there and say it is good that he remains locked up is fascism. That is saying the hierarchical system of the courts and the government is just, and the process is all that matters. And I am saying perhaps 3 years is enough. Because I actually have moral logic and an understanding of these cases. Hence, my position on January 6th has always been the people who have attacked police must go to prison. But 3 years is a fucking long time for assault on an officer. We have seen people on the far left, notably when they were firebombing shit all across Minnesota, 33 people murdered. And how many criminal charges did we get for this? When they firebombed a police station and forced the police to evacuate. On May 29th, 2020, when thousands of far leftists firebombed the White House grounds and set fire to St. John's Church and injured 100 police officers, how many fucking people went to prison for 3 years? How many of them who never showed up on that day are in prison for 20 years? Enrique Tarrio wasn't even in D.C. on January 6th. And you are saying that man who his only crime was, quote, don't leave. That's his only crime. You think he should be in prison for 20 years because you're a fascist. You don't care what the facts are. Mm-hmm. You don't care if this is unjust. You only care that the machine state has decreed you are now to be locked up. And this is the problem I have with the left. They don't know the facts. They don't care about the facts. They view morality as a blanket government stroke of the pen. And every person, regardless of their crime.
I'm sorry, too, if you're on the left, you probably don't want to be a part of this channel. God bless you, though.
Crime should be in prison for decades. I reject it outright. The people who fought cops should go to prison. They did. It's been 3 years. But when you've got people who are on misdemeanor charges for having walked into a building at 4 p.m. after the riot, and I know some of these people, they walked into a building for 2 minutes and walked out, and they got 18 months for that. I don't see you defending the innocent people who walked onto a public grass at a public building after a riot had been completed. You don't know. You don't care. You've taken a tribal position and people are suffering because of it. Now you say that Donald Trump saying the injustice that we've seen warrants commutation or pardons. You say that means he's advocating for violence. This is the ultimate problem. Then you cite a press release from Maryland saying, but the right's more violent. There is a distinction between a white supremacist as a right-wing group and a run-of-the-mill Christian conservative who showed up on that day not to protest. Let's talk about Brandon Strzok. He never went in the building. He was on the other side of the building. There was a permanent protest. He walked up the stairs and he was yelling. They put this guy in prison. There is Owen Schroyer, who was at a permanent rally, who was yelling death to communists. They put him in prison and specifically cited his speech. My dude, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's fine. I get it. We try to be polite. We try to be nice. But there are so many young liberals who sit here and say, the corporate press told me that these people are bad and the machine state government has decreed it by pen. So I don't care what crime they committed. I don't care what the jury said. I don't care who was on the jury. Enrique Tarrio, who was not there, should be in prison for 2 decades. Tell me this now. Why is Enrique Tarrio in prison?
Yeah, so they uncovered with him his plot to overthrow the government.
Enrique Tarrio, is it?
Yeah, and his organization.
What plot? Who's they? Give me some
prosecutors.
Give me some fucking data. Stop squinting at me and saying the prosecutors did a thing. You didn't know. You didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers. All you know is the fascist machine state told you he should be in prison, and you're saying yes to them.
In Canada now, you are no longer able to share links to news stories on social media. And the way they snuck that in is by saying that these media corporations, whether it's Meta or Twitter, X, whatever, they have a responsibility to pay the people that are making these stories. And so by this little sneaky little loophole, they've essentially put a stop on the free flow of information in Canada on social media.
History geeks, let's have a closer look at this map. So on one side there's 180 degrees of a partially discovered America. The coast of North America already looks like it's got some pretty fine infrastructure. While the Southern Americas...
I'll have to remember, y'all, I got an old globe in there, man. Lights up and everything. I'm going to have to do a video and check it out and show it to y'all.
And Central America look like some metropolis. Mapping infrastructure is one thing, but actually building it is quite another. So what's going on in the Eastern Hemisphere? Let's have a look. Is Tartaria there? Oh look, the Tartarian Sea. Oh, I remember this from history lessons, learning about Tartaria. Oh, hang on, wait a minute. Hang on. I don't know if I'm having some memory recall problems. Oh, now fancy that. Barbary. an area in Africa called Barbary. I remember learning about that in school too. Oh no, wait a minute. So there's rivers and all sorts of towns and populations and all sorts going on in what's now just an empty, desolate, dead Sahara desert. I wonder what it was like in northern Africa back then. Anyway, moving on. So here we've got the Indian subcontinent, Sri Lanka, Sumatra, Java, Borneo. Australia is not mapped, but we do have a beach and an interesting description of an abandoned fort of spices. Looks like we've got plesiosaurs on the Mar del Zur, which would be the Pacific. And it says about America. America first discovered in the year 1492 by Christopher Columbus at a charge of Ferdinand and Isabella, King and Queen of Castile, who also reconquered Granada from the Moors. Here's some mugshots of them.
Want to hear about some of my favorite things to do?
Sure, officer. Just keep in mind, I'm an attorney who sues police officers when they do bad things, so don't tell me anything you wouldn't want everybody to know, or, don't tell me anything that's going to piss me off.
This is going to piss you off.
All right, I guess proceed.
When you're driving, and you're coming at me, and we pass each other like such, I like to hit my brakes.
And why would you do this? Like, what is the thing you're trying to accomplish?
I just like to hit my brakes. Get the blood flowing. You know what I'm talking about? I just like to hit my brakes. Scare you a little.
So, officer, quick question. Are we filing this under, like, protect or serve? Because protecting and serving are your job responsibilities, not inflicting anxiety on citizens you're supposed to be protecting. Is that it? Or is there more?
That's crazy.
Also, when I'm sitting and I'm running speed traffic and I gotta go somewhere else, if I want to go to the gas station or grab a snacky or something, I'll wait. I'll wait till you come by. I don't care how far you're back. If you're 2 miles back, I'm waiting on you. And then as soon as you pass me, I'm going to pull out. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
And some people wonder why citizens don't trust police officers. The thing you need to remember about this moron is that as dumb and as candid as he's being, at least he's telling us the stuff that he likes to do to mess with people. It's the ones who do the same stuff, or worse, intentionally, but are never dumb enough to come on and say it out loud. So we have a police problem, and he is just a very small representative of that.
These robots are inspired by ants and were developed by South Korean scientists. Each micro-robot is 600 micrometers tall and interacts with others using magnetic fields. The micro-robot swarm was able to unclog tubes that resembled blocked blood vessels. This technology could potentially be used to clear plaques from clogged blood vessels in medical treatments. In this other application, the micro-robot swarm transported a chunk of the metal indium to complete or break an electrical circuit. This allowed it to turn a light on or off with precision. The micro-robots were able to assemble into a group and coordinate their movements to walk over an obstacle. By leveraging their collective strength and synchronized actions, they successfully overcame barriers, demonstrating their ability to adapt and perform tasks that require precise teamwork. The micro-robots used centrifugal force for self-throwing, propelling themselves over obstacles. A swarm of 200 micro-robots successfully separated heavy liquid metal into smaller pieces in just 5 seconds, despite its high surface tension. They then moved the pieces, joined them back together, and shaped the metal into a smooth sphere. This demonstrated their ability to handle complex tasks with precision and control. The micro-robots formed a spinning swarm on water, creating a floating raft structure that allowed them to carry a pill 2,000 times heavier than a single robot across the surface. This approach could be applied to deliver lightweight medical supplies or drugs across liquid environments in remote or constrained settings. In this example, the swarm used orbital dragging motions at 2.5 Hz to block the superworm's path and stop it from reaching the food. As soon as the swarm stopped its spinning, the worm was able to move toward the food. The micro-robots guided an ant by using a spinning motion to block its path and topple its legs without causing harm. By controlling the swarm's direction, they successfully steered the ant to a desired location. This technique could be applied in pest management or controlled behavioral studies of small organisms. The micro-robots can assemble into structured swarms or disassemble into individual units based on the strength of the magnetic field. By adjusting the magnetic field intensity, their configuration can be precisely controlled to perform tasks like transporting materials or navigating complex environments. Here we see the micro-robots using orbital dragging motion to rapidly circumvent obstacles with precise single-axis manipulation. This allows them to navigate barriers efficiently, completing the task in just 180 milliseconds.
Good journalism uncovers corruption. And
okay, I mean, good journalism does uncover corruption, but I'm not sure these two things are linked. An audit is not...
but they are.
Okay, so you need to explain to me, do you understand what an audit does and the degree to which it is linked to the question that you're asking?
I believe so.
Okay, go ahead. Give me your explanation.
No, I don't mind learning. So what I would suggest is that the audit that they have in the military doesn't really look at whether or not there's efficacy. It's just whether they got delivered the thing that they ordered. And
that is any audit. That is any audit. That is true.
But generally, those audits aren't $400 billion for Raytheon and $1.7 trillion for a plane that doesn't seem to be doing. Like, there is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse within a system.
Audits and waste, fraud, and abuse are not the same thing. So let's decompose these
please
pieces.
Educate me on
listen to this
so
lady.
an audit is exactly what you just described,
yes.
which is, do I know what was delivered to which place?
Right.
The ability to pass an audit or the fact that the DoD has not passed an audit is not suggestive of waste, fraud, and abuse. That is completely false right there. So
what is
now it's a question of, it's
See,
suggestive that we don't have an accurate inventory that we can pull up of what we have where. That is not the same as saying we can't do that because waste, fraud, and abuse has occurred.
How do you not have an active inventory?
Yeah.
That's waste.
How is that waste?
If I give you $1 billion and you can't tell me what happened to it, that to me is wasteful. That means you are not responsible. But if you can't tell me where it went, then what am I supposed to think? And when there has been reporting, I mean, this is not, look, I'm not saying this is on you and that you caused this, but I think it's a tough argument to make that an $850 billion budget to an organization that can't pass an audit and tell you where that money went, like, I think most people would consider that somewhere in the realm of waste, fraud, or abuse, because they would wonder why that money isn't well accounted for. And especially when they see food insecurity on military bases, and they see...
You want to talk about that? Because that's a good... We should be talking... I mean, I'm trying to understand where you're trying to go, other than the dollars, which really bother you.
I think it doesn't really bother me. I think it's all connected.
Okay.
I think
tell me that story. Tell me how you're thinking about that.
When I see a State Department get a certain amount of money and a military budget be 10 times that, and I see a struggle within government to get people like more basic services, and then that department that got that, I mean, we got out of 20 years of war and the Pentagon got a $50 billion raise. Like, that's shocking to me. Now, I may not understand exactly the ins and outs and the incredible magic of an audit, but I'm a human being who lives on the earth and can't figure out how $850 billion to a department means that the rank and file still have to be on food stamps. Like, to me, that's fucking corruption. I'm sorry. And
lady,
if that blows
you're probably
your mind,
milking it too.
And if you think like that's like a crazy agenda for me to have, I really think that that's institutional thinking, and that it's not looking at the day-to-day reality of the people that you call the greatest fighting force in the world. So I get back to this idea of like, I'm not looking to pick a fight with you, but I am surprised at that the reaction to these questions are, you don't know what an audit is, bucko. Like, that's just weird to me.
Senators.
Yeah, crazy lady.
Members of the Senate. When the House managers gave you their presentation, when they submitted their brief, they repeatedly referenced Hunter Biden and Burisma. They spoke to you for over 21 hours, and they referenced Biden or Burisma over 400 times. And when they gave these presentations, they said there was nothing to see, it was a sham. This is fiction. In their trial memorandum, the House managers described this as baseless. Now, why did they say that? Why did they invoke Biden or Burisma over 400 times? The reason they needed to do that is because they're here saying that the president must be impeached and removed from office for raising a concern. And that's why we have to talk about this today. They say sham, they say baseless, because they say this because if it's okay for someone to say, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something here worth raising, then their case crumbles. Because they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that there is no basis to raise this concern. But that's not what public records show. Here are just a few of the public sources that flagged questions surrounding this very same issue. The United Kingdom Serious Fraud Office, Deputy Assistant Secretary of State George Kent, Hunter Biden's former business associate, an ABC White House reporter, Good Morning America, ABC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, Ukrainian law enforcement, and the Obama State Department itself. They all raised this issue. We would prefer not to be talking about this. We would prefer not to be discussing this. But the House managers have placed this squarely at issue, so we must address it. Let's look at the facts. In early 2014, Joe Biden, our Vice President of the United States, led the United States foreign policy in Ukraine with the goal of rooting out corruption. According to an annual study published by Transparency International, during this time, Ukraine was one of the most corrupt countries in the entire world. In Ukraine, there's a natural gas company called Burisma. Burisma has been owned by an oligarch named Mykola Solchevsky. Here's what happened very shortly after Vice President Biden was made U.S. point man for Ukraine.
So I come across a study, and it's a study with the acronym SPAIN. It's an experiment that they did, which is the scale of positive and negative emotion. You start looking at these yogi charts, you begin to see, greed, lust at the bottom, then anger, then you see love and gratitude, and then at the top you see what? Enlightenment. Well, what is enlightenment? So they began prompting people. And they found that above what we often know as the highest form of frequency, or what everybody talks about, which is love, they found that there was a frequency that made people vibrate 400 times more powerful than the vibrational frequency of love. And it was the vibrational frequency of authenticity. To become the truest version of yourself with no lies is to vibrate at the highest form that you can possibly vibrate at, giving you a sense of peace, equanimity, and truthfulness. And all the baggage doesn't exist because you don't have to wear a mask. Therefore, you can be who you are.
Well, you got to think positive to live positive. And sometimes, a lot of times, you got to push those positive thoughts onto yourself. That's the real world. Sometimes you just don't wake up happy. But when you wake up, you got to start thinking.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Died. I thought I was dead, crying like a mother. I cried so hard I thought I was outside in the rain.
I didn't know you'd have eyes like to pray to Jesus, spending Friday nights at home. Didn't know you'd be this strong, kind, deeper than a coal mine, loving with a heart of gold. And you're everything that I'm not, everything that I want. There's a garden, baby, you're proof in those brown eyes. I know that I gotta find a better me for you.
Both are experienced in your life. During the day is light, during the night dark. But when you ask yourself, why does darkness exist? Use your intellect, take a flashlight, look for your darkness. If you have light in your hand, darkness doesn't exist. So the question of holding on the idea that darkness is some substance that exists as a reality and light is an opposing substance, so both exist, that idea is wrong.
Again, I've got a deadly weapon right yonder. That is a half-cocked Judy. Now what we's going to do is act like this pot liquor twarn't no pot liquor. No, says I. We's going to say he's Cletus, my best friend, what lives just one trailer down in between me and that pot liquor, what lives two trailers down. Okay? Yeah, we just sitting around daydreaming about NASCAR. What's that? A peck on Diamond Dave's shoulder, a Judy shot from a half-cocked Judy, and by the time I realized that ain't no pot liquor, that used to be Cletus. And because I've got a half-cocked Judy, I didn't have the time to stop my ninja-like reflexes from taking the head off of my buddy Cletus.
Ninja-like.
So a
Ninja-like.
Judy is a deadly Judy, people. Don't go
Half-cocked
cock Judy
Judy.
unless you're going to slang that Judy. I am Diamond Dave, and I approve this message.
Half-cocked Judy, but I'm going to walk around.
This is Sparta!
Damn. Okay, maybe I just didn't give it enough time to warm up. I am not a sloth or whatever it's called. I'm not slow like that.
Who my other twin is? I know it's cute. I know it's it's ugly as hell.
To choose the animal, it's the hair.
All right, what animal is my twin? Do me right.
He got him looking like a pig.
Oink the fuck, oink. No the fuck, y'all.
Ow! My fault.
Son of a bitch.
What animal is your twin? There's no way this works.
I'm about to do that.
In St. Peter Street at 1:53 a.m. Someone on Bourbon Street, who we have no reason to believe was involved, dragged the cooler a block to Bourbon and Orleans, where our teams found it after the attack.
I found out that it was literally he changed his medication within days of this event.
Well, we have a twist in the Cybertruck Green Beret in the source. So a 180 here. We got the gravity drones and we got all these war crimes allegedly. Now we come to find out from Sam that it's a 180. He just had a mental break. Stand by.
And something shifted. So after I did the interview, a lot of people, nobody knew that I had the manifesto. I had to be very quiet for a day. So people were messaging me and they're like, have you heard of this guy? Have you seen this? Blah, blah, blah. And they didn't know I wasn't posting on it. People expect me to post on these relevant incidents like this, because just like I had posted on the New Orleans guy. So I was like being very quiet because Sean was like, dude, you haven't told anybody, any other media you have this, right? I was like, no, nobody. I wasn't going to put it out on my own social media because people would be like, dude, you made this up. I knew I couldn't handle this information on my own. So anyways, after I did the...
How do you think Sean handled it now? So Sean, again, we're going to have a 180 here. Remember the gravity drones and the war crime shit, and now it's just the guy had a mental break. And that was reporting. What were the odds of that to start with? That there was gravity drones, anti-gravity drones flying around, or the guy had a mental break? I mean, what would you call it if you had to gamble and said, what do you think happened here? Boy, oh boy, did Sean do a retraction? Hey, we made a mistake? Probably, right?
Oh, that is scary.
Justin Baldoni's attorney just announced that they are gearing up to file their lawsuit against Blake Lively. And they plan to release every single text message between Blake and Justin to prove that she's not telling the truth. We've already seen a series of text messages and emails and communication that was revealed in his lawsuit against the New York Times, but now they're saying that there are more text messages between Blake and Justin. Like when she said that there was no intimacy coordinator, and then he dropped the text message of him texting her about the intimacy coordinator and her declining to meet with her ahead of filming. And then there was the side-by-side where they showed that Blake's team was rewriting text messages, changing the context.
Yeah, see, you can do that. There are apps that will let you go in, change a text, add a text, change the date, time the text was sent. That's why you have to coordinate it with the actual phone bill and text that was sent out. Because you can make it look like, I can make it look like anybody texted me, 5 years ago.
And manipulating them, so they included the actual screenshots of the messages. So it appears Baldoni is gearing up for a full-on war. And his lawsuit against the New York Times also claims that there are more lawsuits to come and that there are more bad actors that will be called out as well. I wonder if that means Ryan Reynolds may be called out, because he accuses Ryan Reynolds of berating him and secretly writing scenes behind his back. And it's a whole mess, but let me know your thoughts below. Who else do you think is going to get a lawsuit from Baldoni next? Full breakdown now on the podcast. It's a deep dive. It's a long one. It's multiple parts. Tune in right now. No Filter with Zach Peter. Get ready. We're in for a long ride.
Mr. Speaker and members of Congress, pursuant to the Constitution and laws of the United States, the Senate and House of Representatives are meeting in joint session to verify the certificates and count the votes of the electors of the several states for President and Vice President of the United States.
Hi, my name is Brooke, and welcome to my I don't even know what the fuck is going on anymore garden tour. I have this easily 8-foot tall Mexican torch sunflower that has one bloom on it. This is my 16-foot bed of sweet potatoes. I've gone digging in that bed twice and found 0 sweet potatoes. These are my Jesus criminy, that bird's loud. These are my fall tomatoes because my spring ones sucked. One side I decided to do the right thing that I know works. The other, I decided to fuck around and find out. Oh, this is just a tower of tomatoes that has fallen. These dried up seedlings I started all the way back in July and put them out on a hot day. Thus they didn't make it. This right here is my serrano bush that I just got my first pepper from last week. And last but certainly not least, I found a snake in my garden 2 days ago when I was pulling weeds. Yeah, if the dirt slithers, it's not dirt. What the fuck?
The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris.
We have some big news right now. Vice President Kamala Harris just released her statement in advance of the certification of the electoral votes later this afternoon. Watch it for yourself.
The peaceful transfer of power is one of the most fundamental principles of American democracy.
This is what I don't understand. The peaceful transfer of power. All we're doing is changing up presidency. Y'all acting like we got a whole nother group of people coming and taking over. I don't get that at all. Peaceful transfer.
As much as any other principle, it is what distinguishes our system of government from monarchy or tyranny. Today at the United States Capitol, I will perform my constitutional duty as Vice President of the United States to certify the results of the 2024 election. This duty is a sacred obligation, one I will uphold, guided by love of country, loyalty to our...
It's so scary, dude. This is who's up there. This is who we got up there speaking.
Our Constitution and my unwavering faith in the American people. As we have seen, our democracy can be fragile, and it is up to then each one of us to stand up for our most cherished principles and to make sure that
Well, make sure one thing. Your trash is still on the side of the road up there in 220 in Fleming Island, Florida. There's Harris signs still on the side of the road. You can come pick them up.
in America, our government always remains of the people, by the people, and for the people.
That didn't even make no sense. Then why are you still in there?
May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
The certification of the electoral votes is scheduled to happen around 1 p.m. today. It is snowing outside in D.C. right now. We've gotten about 6 inches, but that is not going to stop Congress. Come like that, spread the word and follow along for all the news you need to know about.
You've said that the devil runs Hollywood.
I did say that.
Yes. You still believe it?
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Didn't we just have Christmas?
Yes.
What were the films that premiered for Christmas? Name the titles you can think of now.
Carry On.
Right.
Which had a Christmas backdrop to it.
Right.
But I can't really think of any actual Christmas films.
Had Nicole Kidman's film came out. Baby Girl, I think it's called.
Okay, yeah, I
not
missed
a
that
Christmas movie.
No.
It's not a Christmas movie.
No, you're not really seeing Christmas movies right now.
You're not really seeing... And then
there's
Nosferatu, what is that? Nosferatu, whatever. Yeah. I can't even say it, it's so evil.
There was some Christmas movies. They were just evil as heck. Whole year was full of evil. The Olympics, Christmas, all of it was just evil.
If you look at the marketing for the new Christmas vampire movie, Vlad, see where I'm going with this, guys? See the new Christmas vampire movie? If you look at the advertising for that, it doesn't say devil. It never says, it says, darkness. And, the principalities of darkness. And,
Santos, you want to fucking explain this? Go to Instagram, search DESVX. He's going to be the first one that pops up. And then the story that I circled, click on that. And I want to explain to everybody why there's a page with a story that is just packed full of receipts. This is tons and tons of receipts. That feeling when you recognize what those stories were about, that's fear. And then in Texas, I looked up the code just to be sure. If the victim's over 18, it's a 10-year statute of limitations. If the victim's under 18, there is no statute of limitations. And you had the audacity to get in my inbox and threaten to send a letter. Send me a letter. Send me a letter. I bet I'll burn it on live. I'll burn it on live. I'll invite you to watch. Have the day you deserve.
I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
Thank you especially for your work. And thank you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Oh, snap. Whoa. Oh, man. Did he have a baby? He got a kid in his arms. Check this out. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Look at that, y'all. Look at that. Would you look at that? Would you look at that there? That is amazing. I could watch these all day. That's the most beautiful thing I think I've seen in a long time. Look at that. Look at that. That is crazy. Oh my God, we got to do this. We have got to do this. Well, we don't get cold enough in Florida, does it? Dang. Dang, y'all. I'm not going to be able to do that. It's got to be freezing outside, don't it? Look at that. That is just amazing. God bless it, dude. That is really tickling me to death.
Also plan to make important investments to address the roadway safety crisis, including the critical funding that would accelerate the development. And this is an area I've written to you about, of the use of female dummies in crash testing. This will start to fight the gender inequity among vehicle safety and crash victims. This budget also builds upon and helps act.
I'm at that age now where as soon as I get somewhere, I'm ready to go.
I don't give a fuck how long it took me to get ready. I don't care how long it took me to get there. I go in that bitch and spin around. All right.
I'm Power Ranger.
Yeah, you are.
I've told you this once before. Can't control me. If you try to take me down, you're gonna
man, that's scary, y'all.
feel your hatred. Nothing that you're doing for me.
I'm gonna do a whole thing on the COVID epidemic. Give y'all some insight of what I went through. I was in a different type of world, third world country when that was going on. Crazy. Oh man, watch this.
Yo, what the fuck? Yo,
Oh,
what? Hey!
whoa. Ah, man, hey y'all. Whisper about it. Thank y'all for staying tuned. You know, hey, I was told I hit 1,000 subscribers last night. I ain't looked yet. I'm gonna do a little post about it. Y'all go through there and maybe hit the like button, comment button. You know, celebrating today. Hey, God bless. Whisper about it.